think it's time to get the show on the road. So last time, after I cracked 10,000 coins and 66 boosters, I got the entire set of Out of the Gatewatch, which means that it's time to build some decks. Up to this point, I basically constantly played 2-color decks. At some point I had a 3-color control, but it was inconsistent and didn't get good results. Now I want to try something crazy. The first deck I built was a monocolor deck, or rather a 0-color deck, which, because I just played lands that produce colorless mana. But I didn't play that deck a lot because what I really wanted to do is build a monstrosity of a 5-color deck. And maybe it will work. I played a bunch with it against AI and I haven't lost a single game. Which doesn't say anything because the AI is super bad and those decks are really underpowered. Even on the hard mode. So today we're gonna take this deck for a spin against the real opponents, which are other people. So here's the deck. There are, I think, 6 commons in the deck and 4 uncommons. I think the rest are just rare and mythics. And I wanted to call this deck Oath of the Gatewatch, but there's a dude in here that doesn't belong. So I just call them Superfriends. Could also be heroes, but it's a more established name in the Magic community, I guess. So here is what's in here. I played every single Planeswalker possible, including these Magic Origins ones, but then I ended up cutting all those that didn't really go along with my strategy. I think Kithian was still the best one out of those that I cut because at least he could block with his indestructible ability. But I found out that I can turtle in some other ways. Maybe I change my mind later, but and the other two just cost double colored mana very early, and don't do enough. So we have every Oath. Oath of Nissa is great because it cycles early, gets you into better mana, and helps you cast all the other 2-color Planeswalkers. I mean, 2-color. I call 2-color everything that has 2-colored symbols, whether they be the same, especially the same, or different. Oath of Chandra, it can deal up to 6 or 8 damage. It's actually, if I cast this on turn 2, it usually deals additional 6 to 8 damage to the opponent because I always get a bunch of Planeswalkers. Obviously, we'll see how that goes against actual opposition. Sylvan Ranger is very important for smoothing the mana. Jace is so-so, but it's great if you get to flip it because then you just get access to additional wrath effects, which there are about, I think, 8. We'll see further. Nissa is just card advantage once you play it late, or you can get a forest early if you need the mana. This is the last addition I made to the deck because I realized that I have absolutely no way of interacting with enchantments. Sometimes even artifacts are important, but something like I don't know, the exiling enchantments like Isolation Zone or maybe even Bonds. Those things can get annoying. So this helps against that. Lifespring Druid, I had all three at first. I cut one for Reclamation Sage. I don't know if that's correct. I really need all the color fixing that I can get. Uh, but I just realized that at 3 mana, I usually wanted to play one of the oaths, like Oath of Gideon and Oath of Jace. Oath of Jace just gets um, into better mana as well. Oath of Gideon is great with so many planeswalkers because it just additional loyalty counter matters. Call of the Gatewatch gets the most important cards in the deck. Win conditions. Radiant Flames, first 2 of the board wipes. Nissa, Voice of Zendikar. This is probably the most replaceable planeswalker. Like if I get something better, this could go. But I found out that just spitting out 0/1 plants can often protect other planeswalkers as well, while they draw cards and, I don't know, do their own thing. And sometimes you just get a bunch of tokens from, I don't know, Oath of Gideon or the Gideon himself, and then putting +1/+1 counters on it can be a clock. Brutal Expulsion just buys a lot of time, can sometimes be a 2-for-1. Languish is really good at buying more and more time. Gideon, obviously, can be win condition late and can, protect your life total and other planeswalkers. Kiora does the least. Kiora in this deck is really borderline. But if you can protect her until she gets an emblem, then things start to change. Because the reason it's really bad is just there's no creatures almost in this deck. There are very few. So -2 usually just gets a land, which of course if you're missing some of them can help. But usually until you realize that she's not going to survive, you just plus and hope for the best. Possess Scab, I put this in just so I can rebuy like one of the rats that I had to 1-for-1 with, or one of the more expensive creatures. Planar Outburst obviously buys a lot of time and can also provide threats. Awaken 4 on Planar Outburst is quite a strong play if you survive that long, which is why it helps to buy it back with Possess Cap. Possess Cap cannot buy back Planeswalkers, which is why we have Emeria Shepherd in the deck. So if Emeria Shepherd gets killed, then you can Possess Cap it back, la 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 la. I mean, it sounds like Magical Christmas Land, but with so many different types of effects, usually one combination actually ends up working. The biggest problem is that the best removal spells right now in the format exile. So maybe this will not be, especially this card, might not be in the deck later, but I'm still willing to try it out. Haven't got a chance to play it that much. When I did it, return the board sweeper, it was pretty good. Ob Nixilis is one of the best cards. It just gains so much card advantage and destroys the biggest threats. Linwana is here for value, because if left unchecked, she can just win the game. If you fall behind, she's incredibly good. And I think Chandra just won me the most games by herself. She comes down, wipes the board, and then starts attacking for 6 each turn. And the mana base is the sketchiest part. I just have one of each basic, and then I realized that I usually end up missing a forest to get with Nissa, or if you just draw one, then you can't get another one. And it's really important to get the forest early. So I cut one of the evolving wilds for it because I ended up getting the forest a lot of time too. Um, Otherwise, I just kept one of each dual lands because I'm playing all colors, and I think every color but blue has a two, like has a double color spell. And out of these dual lands, I just kept the ones with the forest. I kept two of the ones with forest and the others just for one because they help these lands come into play untapped, which is really important. Even if they themselves will rarely enter untapped because of so few basic lands, but it happens. Okay, so that's the deck. The games tend to go very long. I don't know how many games we get to play. And how good the deck will be. I'm not predicting very good results, by the way. But I was encouraged by how the deck actually managed to operate. Of course, with better play and better threats, that might have been a different story. So let's just jump right into the versus battle.